Hello everybody and welcome to So I Play Games. I'm your host Scott and today I want to talk about a game called Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3 is a real-time action-adventure RPG that was developed and published by Square Enix. In Kingdom Hearts 3, you follow Sora as he travels from world to world trying to figure out how to unlock his power of waking, the one thing he failed to do during his Mark of Mastery exam. During his adventure, Riku and Mickey are searching for the 7 Guardians of Light so that they can stop Xehanort from bringing about the Second Keyblade War, while Kairi and Lee train as newly appointed Keyblade wielders. In classic Kingdom Hearts style, you start off with a few choices that help you shape your playstyle. First off, you get to choose if you favor HP, MP, or a balance of both. If you choose Wisdom, you will have more MP over HP. If you choose Vitality, you have more HP over MP. And finally, if you choose Balance, as it sounds, it's a balance of both. After that, you get to choose an added benefit. If you choose Mystic, you'll learn abilities that decrease magic consumption. If you choose Warrior, it will increase ground combos by 1. And finally, if you choose Guardian, it will buff your defense when your HP is low. Kingdom Hearts 3 picks up directly after Dream Drop Distance, with Sora, Donald, and Goofy in their gummy ship discussing where they could travel that would help with Sora unlocking his power of waking. After Goofy repeats, "May your heart be your guiding key," like Master Yen said before they left, Sora gets an idea and opens a portal to Olympus. He begins his search with Hercules, who had been weakened like himself, but brought himself back stronger than ever before. This is where the adventure begins, where Sora continues to follow his heart, looking for what it takes to unlock the power of waking. With Riku, Mickey, Lee, and Kairi all doing their part to prepare for the final confrontation with Xehanort and the new Organization 13. After helping Hercules in Olympus and a short section with Riku and Mickey, the gummy ship makes yet another return with a whole new take than before. This time around, you're given the freedom to explore everything in between the worlds you visit. Now you can choose if you want to fight the Heartless along the way, challenge bosses, or collect blueprints and parts to build a better gummy ship. There are treasure sphere puzzles you can solve, mining rocks to collect, and constellations to take pictures of, similar to the lucky emblems you can find. You can customize your own personal gummy ship just like before, but with even more parts and options. I still wasn't a fan of building my own ship, and again, not because it was bad, but simply because it wasn't for me. If you want to skip straight to the next world, there are tunnels to help speed up your ship to get to and from areas much faster. I can't say if I like it more over the Kingdom Hearts 2 gummy ship, but I do like the direction they're going in. The open exploration idea is something I can definitely get behind, and I can only hope it continues to get better. As for the worlds themselves, Kingdom Hearts 3 brings familiar worlds, but more so than ever, it brings never before seen worlds that I couldn't have been more excited to experience. The worlds have never been so large, detailed, and visually impressive, with some of the worlds actually being populated with people and making them feel more alive. This has to be the most fun I've had exploring, and the most distracted I've been yet by how beautiful everything looked. Kingdom Hearts 3 returns with even more freedom than ever before, with every world being on a scale much larger than I was used to. I found myself getting lost for hours, checking every corner looking for secret areas, chests, emblems, and ingredients. It's truly astonishing the difference in comparison to previous Kingdom Hearts games. Each world is just as memorable as the next. I honestly can't think of one that I visited as underwhelming or disappointing. Picking one over the other was even difficult. I felt each one was unique, full of life, detailed, and colorful enough that they stood out on their own in their own way. There are a few mini games you have to play when visiting some of the worlds, but I honestly didn't mind them as much as before. Most were fun and actually had me smiling while I did them, with the exception of one. The one related to the story in Arendelle. Sliding down the mountain was a nightmare. The controls were delayed, awful, and the entire part as a whole was extremely frustrating. Outside of that, I had no issue with the rest. Some new and returning features like wall running, auto jumping to specific lit up destinations, diving off cliffs, and flow motion are available to make exploring even more enjoyable. Flow motion from Dream Drop Distance has been dialed back significantly compared to before, which is something I'm happy to see. You can't chain dash and climb walls forever anymore. Even with the abilities you unlock later to improve it, it never gets to the extent of Dream Drop Distance, so it's still useful but can't be exploited as much as before. Shot Lock, outside of its actual attack, allows Sora to teleport to what would seem like out of reach areas. The wall running and diving is a fun addition, especially when enemies are added to the equation. Fighting while running up walls and jumping off to punish enemies below never got old and just added to the already stacked abilities Sora had. Which leads me to Kingdom Hearts 3's very obvious update in graphics. Visually, Kingdom Hearts 3 is a step above all its previous games, and even on its own is absolutely beautiful. The jump from Kingdom Hearts 2 to Kingdom Hearts 3 is like night and day. The cutscenes were so impressive that telling the difference from the movies and the game is almost impossible. The worlds look and feel right out of the movies, which made spending more time exploring every corner even more enjoyable. I love Sora and Riku's new designs, along with every other character involved. Even with some keeping their old designs, with the new visual update, it feels like seeing them in a new look with how much of a difference there is. Even the enemies are stunning, and with the mix of new designs and old enemies showing up with a more modernized look, it was undeniable eye candy. Overall, I think these are the best worlds, level designs, and visuals Kingdom Hearts has had yet. When it comes to level progression and overall growth, Kingdom Hearts 3 sticks to the basics, with Keyblades getting one of the more noticeable changes. You still get new Keyblades through completing worlds and challenges, and they still come with their own stats and benefits as usual, but this time around you can level them up. So if you favor a certain Keyblade, you can upgrade it and keep it relevant throughout the game. On top of that, you can hold up to 3 Keyblades and switch between them during combat to adjust to any situation as needed. Finally, they can transform into more powerful weapons with even stronger abilities after filling the charge bar. Equipment and AP hasn't changed from previous games. Sora, Donald, Goofy, and any guest party member have armor and accessory slots and a set amount of AP for equipping abilities. More slots in AP will become available as they level up, or for AP, you can use an AP boost item. There are similar items to this for strength, magic, and defense too. Leveling hasn't changed either, simply beat down enemies to gain XP and earn new abilities to equip. Synthesizing is back again, this time with less features as before. There's no more leveling up the Moogle for decreased material costs, and there's no more items for lessening the cost of creating something. Instead, there's more of a focus on collecting every type of material and recipe on top of a larger scale of items and variety of equipment and accessories to make. You still get rewarded for returning with materials you've collected from defeating enemies, and are even rewarded recipes through collecting lucky emblems. Something new that they added is the Little Chef's Bistro. This minigame involves you visiting the bistro in Twilight Town to cook up full-course meals and desserts with Remy from Ratatouille. The minigame is different based on what you're trying to make. This is more or less for anyone struggling at any point, since the meals can give massive boosts to certain stats or all across the board. Recipes unlock automatically if you have the ingredients to make them, and the ingredients are scattered across every world or can be bought from the Mog Shop. Which leads me to the combat, and despite Yensid saying Sora has been stripped of all his power, it couldn't be further from the truth. Sora is the strongest he has been and has access to more abilities than ever before. There's more variety and options for taking on combat, more movement abilities, easier endless combos, and a lot of changes to familiar features and abilities from previous Kingdom Hearts games. I'll start with the Keyblade transformations. Throughout combat, you earn a charge bar that when it's full, allows you to unlock new powerful abilities, one of those being the Keyblade forms. All Keyblade forms and abilities are available for a certain amount of time before the bar resets. All keys have 2 forms and will unlock a different fighting style and form of the weapon. If you manage to get your Keyblade to its second form, you get access to a powerful finishing move that's unique to each Keyblade. Each form comes with its obvious advantages, but they also come with some disadvantages, such as no blocking, getting staggered easier, and sacrificing health for more damage. Shot locks make the return, and like usual, you can slow down time to lock onto multiple enemies and attack. You have a focus gauge that lessens based on how much time you spend locking on enemies, and when it's empty, you can refill it by collecting focus orbs from enemies, props, or by using elixirs. The one difference this time around is the shot lock will be different based on what Keyblade is being used. Spells are similarly affected. Normally, they're the same as in other games, but with the addition of environmental advantages. Arrow will not only attack enemies, but it will also throw you in the air for flow motion attacks. Blizzard leaves ice on the ground for you to grind and also do flow motion attacks, and so on. But similar to Shotlocks, Keyblades affect them. More so when using the form of a Keyblade. The spells are stronger and could change if it's an AoE or a projectile. Like mentioned before, you earn a charge bar for more abilities. This ties into unlocking stronger spells called Grand Magic if you use spells during combat. Donald, Goofy, and other party member finishers are also mixed into this section. They earn their finishers by chance and not through the charge bar. All of these abilities stack on top of each other, but thankfully you can rotate through what abilities you want to use first. Something new that's been added is the attractions. Occasionally, enemies will be highlighted in a green circle, and if you manage to attack the enemy in time, it will unlock an attraction which is a powerful attack in the form of a Disney ride. D.links have also returned, but they take more of a summoning approach. They come as other Disney characters and they take your team away while also requiring full HP to use. They all come with their own finishers and are very powerful. On the topic of MP, if you use all of it, you have to wait for it to charge back to full or use an ether. So using D.links and spamming magic comes with a slight disadvantage if you aren't prepared to defend yourself physically. New and returning environmental features for specific worlds are available too, such as swimming getting a considerable improvement and being exactly what I've been asking for since Kingdom Hearts 1. There's the addition of having ship battles and being able to level up your ship, taking cover and being able to jump out, slow time down, and shoot magic at enemies, rolling around on snowballs attacking enemies as it grows in size, and taking over toy mechs, just to mention a few. Switching over to the topic of enemies, outside of their obvious visual update, their variety has expanded even more. With old enemies returning, it was exciting and had me even questioning how. The new Heartless and Nobodies are fun and challenging at points, with some having moments of invulnerability, enhanced damage, teleporting, and overall being a tank. It was a welcoming challenge as always. The bosses and worlds as a whole were a little hit or miss though. I found the difficulty jump between hard and easy for the first half of the game to eventually just easy. I can think of 2, maybe 3 worlds that were challenging, while the rest I burned right through, especially as I got closer to the end. The bosses, despite jumping around on difficulty, were a lot more creative and fun. For most of them I had to be patient and figure out their patterns so I could time when to attack or block. Mix in that there are occasional mini bosses and not every fight is done on land, it keeps things interesting on when, how, or what the boss fight would be. Quite a few came with multiple phases too, adding in more challenges, new patterns to learn, and even special timed reaction commands mid-fight. Unfortunately, I did have a few issues. To start off light, the lock-on system is still all over the place. Hard lock would lock onto enemies further away rather than in front of me or even behind me and throw my camera around. Soft lock was a little bit better than usual, but I still had a few moments where it would pull to an enemy nowhere near me or way off screen. Next would have to be how thrown off I was by how strong Sora was out the gate. With being able to chain infinite combos from the beginning and having access to all these overpowered abilities, it took away the feeling of accomplishment, like I didn't earn all these skills I had. Any sense of growth throughout the game felt minor since I already had the best and strongest abilities right away, not to mention that combat as a whole feeling a lot more floaty and slow compared to Kingdom Hearts 2. Then there's the animations, or more so being stuck and dying in animations. I'll use the attractions as an example. They're big, flashy, and very useful, but I found when they would end there'd be a moment where I'd be open to being attacked. And because I would be stuck in the animation of closing off the attraction, I wasn't able to defend myself. With playing on critical mode, this led to a lot of getting instantly one-shot. I noticed this happening a lot. D.links and Keyblade transformations had the same issue. At the end of its flashy animation, I'd be left open to getting attacked. On top of that, blocking, aerial recovery, and air dashing had to be oddly timed since Sora's jumping, flipping, dashing, and blocking had long pauses and moments of vulnerability. When it came to the more difficult and faster fights, these pauses, moments of vulnerability, and being stuck in an animation ruined the pacing and made some of the most powerful skills a risk to use and not worth it. If that wasn't enough, there were a few points where if there was a lot going on the screen, my game would stutter and freeze up. But in the end, when I could get away with using them, I did enjoy utilizing every possible skill, ability, and form available to me. When it worked, it was a lot of fun. It just felt more RNG on if I could get away with it or not. The fresh take on enemies and bosses was great, along with the Swiss Army knife of abilities gave way to being able to approach every fight in a multitude of ways, more or less however you wanted to. It was a little overwhelming with how much I could do, but it didn't take long to figure it all out. It was more disappointing than anything that the combat didn't feel complete, and that I didn't want to use my abilities since they would more than likely get me killed. It probably comes as no surprise that Kingdom Hearts 3 knocks it out of the park with yet another great soundtrack. Every world, every boss fight, and every cutscene is perfectly fit to its own track. It lands the exhilaration of combat, the calm of exploring, and the emotional impact of an important moment, which lines up with the voice acting, with a lot of actors reprising their original roles along with some being replaced with new ones. They all do an outstanding job. Everyone plays their part so well that it's hard to even know who's the original voice actor and who isn't. Especially with this Kingdom Hearts having more emotional moments and a more serious tone than usual, the talent behind each one of them is on full display. If you ever feel like taking a break from the story, there are a few things you can take on, starting off with the lucky emblems. Long story short, Kingdom Hearts 3 introduces the gummy foam, so you're able to take pictures of places and friends who will actually react and pose for you. That aside, across every world there are multiple lucky emblems you can collect by taking pictures of them, and they're usually displayed or hidden in creative ways. The reward for hunting these down is more than worth it. If that doesn't do it for you, you can visit the 100 Acre Wood as usual for the Winnie the Pooh minigames. Unfortunately, this has to be the worst 100 Acre Wood in the series. Torn pages are no more. You instantly have access to every minigame, which is really one minigame reskinned across the board and only one area to visit. It's best described as a rip-off of Bust-A-Move. You have to match colors of flowers, fruit, and vegetables and so on. The reward for finishing the games is nice, but the process to getting it is mind-numbing. If you feel like just exploring, you can go searching for the 7 Heartless Flans. Each one will have a minigame for you to play and a high score to attempt. The rewards for getting a high score on these minigames are absolutely worth it, especially if you're interested in getting the ultimate weapon. If for some reason you like sliding down the mountain in Arendelle, you can talk to Elsa to do a minigame version of it. The main focus of this is to collect the 10 treasures for rewards. Collecting all 10, again, is something to think about doing if you want the ultimate weapon. If you're feeling nostalgic, you can play Classic Kingdom. This is a series of minigames in the style of old school Game & Watch. You can find them across every world in chests and on some market boards. The reward for these games is only given after completing all of them. By the time I finished Kingdom Hearts 3, I had just under 40 hours clocked in. I found myself absolutely loving the end of the Xehanort saga and the beginning of a new chapter in the series. I couldn't be happier that I was up to date with every game while playing. One thing I definitely noticed is how unapologetic Kingdom Hearts 3 is with its story. If you haven't done your due diligence on getting caught up on everything, and I mean everything, Kingdom Hearts 3 does little to hold your hand and explain it. The finale is full of suspense and is an emotional ride with a perfect payoff in the end. Unfortunately, there's very little progression of the story until the finale. There are a few moments where you get breadcrumbs of the larger picture and Sora more or less figuring out what he has to do, but they're far and few between. Everything's focused on him unlocking his power of waking while everyone else is off taking care of what feels to be more important. Riku and Mickey are background characters for the most part. Despite taking on one of the most important tasks in the entire game, they get very little screen time outside of explaining what they've been doing. I can understand that Riku has already had his arc and there could be little in the sense of seeing his character progression go anywhere, but I would have rathered more time with him and Mickey working together and actually seeing what they went through. I think it was a missed opportunity where Mickey could have had some of the spotlight too. They could have gave him an arc to follow and build a connection between him and Riku. Kairi and Lee are no better. Their involvement is whittled down to just cutscenes. Not only that, but the build up to them training, more so Kairi, has the most disappointing payoff ever. The entire series has tried to make Kairi out as a vital character, and finally when they have a chance to put a Keyblade in her hand and have her stand with Sora and Riku like the original Wayfinders, they drop the ball in the most underwhelming of ways. This frustrates me the most because she's always been a tool used against Sora and Riku. So when the time came where she could potentially stop being a victim and join as a true Keyblade wielder, I was excited. Unfortunately, the entire build-up went nowhere and I was just disappointed. With all that being said, the story as a whole was still great. Despite what I mentioned before, there are more pros than there are cons to everything being revealed and concluded. I just can't mention them without spoiling it for everyone. When everything came to a close, I had run through every possible emotion. The end of the Xehanort saga was heartfelt and has to be one of the best endings in the series by far. Overall, I enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 3. It has some obvious issues, but at the same time, it's still fun. I can't say it's the best in the series, but it still holds strong against the other installments. It has some of the best gameplay, worlds, level designs, and visuals while simultaneously fitting a solid ending and starting a new chapter in the series. But like I mentioned before, the combat felt incomplete and pales in comparison to Kingdom Hearts 2. There's an overwhelming amount of abilities available, and the majority of them are ridiculously overpowered. The difficulty fell off the closer I got to the end. There's an unusual lack of optional bosses or extra content for that matter, some minor performance issues, and most of the story progression takes place in the final moments. But I'll say it again, I still had fun with it. It's nothing compared to the dumpster fire I've been hearing people say it is. I can understand some frustration and dislike for it, but taking the game as a whole, there's more positive to say about it than there is negative. I am obviously excited to see where the series goes next, and I hope that Square takes all the legitimate feedback from everyone so that Kingdom Hearts 4 can be the next best game in the series. And there you have it, my opinion on Kingdom Hearts 3. Thank you for watching. If you liked this and want to see more, make sure to check out my last video on Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance and click that subscribe button. If you want to see more of me, then head over to Twitch where I stream the games we'll be covering here. Link will be in the description. Thanks again, and I hope to see you soon.